Welcome to the show that teaches you the things your parents and teachers are too afraid to, the Heliosblog. Today, we have a heated debate on Donald Trump. I mean, you guys know the news. What happened to Donald Trump, right?
The reason she's alone is because she's difficult.
Women are not accepting the bare minimum.
Women fuck men they respect.
All the women who say things like, I'm strong, independent, I don't need no man, like, y'all impress me.
Women just gaslight each other and say what they want to hear.
I think of all the four cases that he was facing, this was by far the weakest. I think it was a massive stretch to try and turn it into a felony. And I think because of that, because Bragg is clearly such a partisan guy, that is playing right into Trump's hands to play the martyr, and it will galvanize his base. We saw last night that the funding websites were literally breaking down because people were donating so much money. Could this not have the complete opposite effect that at the moment gleeful Democrats hope, which is that it might propel him back to the White House?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there, I think. Starting with the end, of course it could propel him back to the White House. And of course, his fundraising is likely to have gone up through the roof, skyrocketed since the verdict came out. I think I'd agree with you that it's the weakest of the four cases. I think when we first heard the charges from Alvin Bragg, a lot of us were kind of raising our eyes at the number of them, 34. It was actually consistently the same charge, but brought on sort of different dates. And I think that still remains. It is the weakest of the four charges, but it is still the one that was before the courts. And it is still the one that was before the jury. And essentially, you're giving us the New York Post monologue, Piers, which I think is that if you decide that the whole thing is rigged, which Trump has been doing way, way before these cases even came to court, way, way before the
Yeah, he, what's it called? He already set up this defense ahead of time, didn't he? He already set it up.
2020 election was fought, he's used the word rigged against them the whole time, then clearly you're just going to propel that narrative to a place where you're feeling happy with it. I think that what happened in the court yesterday was that a jury who had been selected independently, gone through the ringer pretty much to assert their nuances and their leanings and all the rest of it, unanimously came to the conclusion that with the evidence put before them, including documentary evidence, he was guilty of those charges. Now, I think America will decide what they do with that. But I think if you're going to start undermining the rule of law, you set yourself against the American people. You set yourself against the people who have decided that they want to believe in the rule of law, even for presidents.
Okay, Cenk Uygur, you were also not nodding vigorously through my monologue. Here's the point I would put to you on the back of what Emily just said. I remember Bill Clinton having sex with an intern in the Oval Office while he was president. I remember him paying off another woman, I think $800,000 over harassment allegations she made against him. What I don't remember is Bill Clinton, despite all that, ever appearing in a courtroom and being criminally prosecuted. And I think this is the problem that Democrats are now going to face, which is the apparent, obvious double standard. It's not to defend anything that Trump has done. It's simply to say...
Like Democrat gets one thing, Republican gets another.
Why is he the one who's been singled out for this treatment, given that Bill Clinton and others on the Democrat side were never treated this way?
Yeah, Piers, I'm bilingual. I speak both populist and establishment. So in this case, I think that both sides have a point, but often misstated. So first of all, does the establishment target people that challenge its power? Yes, it does. So it'll go against populist left and populist right. It'll try to do cancel culture. Whenever it wants to target someone, it'll dig and dig and dig. So I've been the victim of that. A lot of people have been the victim of that. But in my case, for example, they dug and found absolutely nothing. So they had to go to jokes from 19 years ago, jokes. So that's when you know someone's as clean as a whistle. But the minute you dig under Donald Trump, just a giant number of crimes spring up because he's a lifelong con man and he's a lifelong criminal. So I think that but at the same time,
sounds to me like this second guy used what's it called? Appeal to authority, or it's a logical fallacy. You know, where you say, "Oh, subjective." He used his subjective experience to make his argument.
MAGA has an instinct that isn't wrong. So let me explain that, because the people in the establishment and Democrats can't understand this for the life of them. Look, guys, and MAGA gets a part of it wrong too, which is that Donald Trump actually wasn't going to be charged with any of this stuff as long as he didn't run for president again, even though he did all of these crimes. Taking those top secret documents home is mental. It's insane. Of course, his biggest crime is that he had the false elector scheme to do a coup against America. And in this particular case, did he do this crime? Indisputably so. That's why it was so easy for the jury. And you mentioned that Michael Cohen is a convicted felon. Yeah, he was convicted for this same exact crime. They're co-conspirators. This is a serious case. Falsifying business records. Alvin Bragg, has anybody else been prosecuted?
You're not answering my question, which is, why is it one rule applied to Trump, but a very different set of rules applying to Bill Clinton, who committed what I would argue...
Because one's a Republican and one's a Democrat.
Far worse offences, frankly, than what Trump did in the Stormy Daniels case.
No, Piers, what you're misunderstanding is that there's two different sets of rules for the powerful and the powerless. So the powerless will be will be tried on all these crimes. The powerful are never tried on any of these crimes. What MAGA and you are complaining about is, oh my God, Donald Trump is being treated like a normal person instead of one of the elites. If you're one of the elites, you're allowed to do campaign violence violations. You're allowed to break all these laws. Is your assumption?
That's not what I'm putting to you. I'm putting to you...
That's exactly what you're saying.
No, I'm asking you why Bill Clinton was never put through a criminal court mincer, given what he did, many would argue, was worse.
Piers, no, not even close to worse. That's absurd.
Really?
Look, Piers, yes.
Having sex with an intern in the Oval Office and then lying about it to the American people? Paying off Paula Jones.
Man, it's literally like reality TV.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars to settle a harassment case? You don't think that's at least
illegal.
as bad,
that's
if not worse?
That's not even close to illegal.
Trump had a one-night stand with a porn star 18 years ago. Who cares?
Literally.
He wasn't running for president then.
Of course.
He was a business guy.
Piers, you're not... Okay, listen. Back when Clinton was being impeached, etc., I was a Republican. But as always, I was unbiased. And I said, what do we started...
Yes, no one's ever biased, guys. Never.
On a real estate deal. It turns out he didn't do anything wrong in the real estate deal. Now we're going into his personal life, and then you dig and dig and say, oh, well, you denied the affair when you actually had the affair. Oh, what was he going to do? Admit it? And I was like, guys, this is a fishing expedition. But what I'm trying to explain to you, Piers, is that if you go on a fishing expedition on Trump, which I think they did, they weren't going to because he was one of the elites. They were going to... Merrick Garland protected him for 2.5 years. The whole time I'm screaming, will you try him already? He tried a coup, you idiot.
All right, look.
And he let him stay there for 2.5 years. But when you go on a fishing expedition with...
Same as the Israel-Palestine debate, all they're doing is ad hominem attacks.
Donald Trump, you come back with a lot of fish. You come back with whales.
Yeah, but trust me,
can't stop breaking the law.
Okay, but when you go on one with Bill Clinton, you catch a lot of fish too. Let's bring in George Santos.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Yes, you did.
You didn't.
Yes, you did.
You said that he paid off Paula Jones. That's not a crime. That's not even close to a crime.
Okay.
What?
Clearly not if you're a Democrat.
That's just settling things.
Okay, so when Trump settles the case, it's a crime. When Bill Clinton does, it's not.
Hilarious.
Wait a minute.
Even though in Bill Clinton's case, hang on. Even though in Bill Clinton's case, it was
he falsified business records, right?
It was in Bill Clinton's case, it was for sexual harassment. In Trump's case, it was simply a payoff to keep a porn star quiet. Again, I say that the allegation that Paula Jones made was more serious.
No, listen, you're wrong on the facts. Settlement is not a crime. Even sexual harassment is not a crime. You could say it's terrible, it's not a crime. So in the case of Donald Trump, falsifying business records is definitely a crime. 34 other people went to jail for it under Alvin Bragg.
Okay.
So why should Donald Trump be above the law?
Okay.
Piers, you're literally saying, even if you were right, and Bill Clinton was quote-unquote above the law, you're saying, well, Donald Trump should be above the law. He should be able to break any law he likes because he's one of the elites.
Okay, I'm going to come to George Santos. I don't think it serves the American national interest to see a president one of the 46 people to hold this incredible office, dragged through a criminal court over something so comparatively trivial that would normally just be a state misdemeanor, and has been trumped up to be this huge felony, and it's a deliberate attempt to stop Trump winning the election. I mean, it plays right
well, you
into...
agree that his other crimes
let me bring
are
in George.
monstrous,
Let me bring in
right?
George.
How about a coup? Is that a bad enough crime? A coup?
He's facing other charges, which, in my view, are more serious. George Santos, your response to all this?
Well, look, Piers, it's very clear. This is nothing more than a misdemeanor type of a case. They had to trump it up, no pun intended, in order to even bring the case.
Again.
To
Too many puns, guys.
Great relevancy. I've heard, and we've heard from pundits on both the left and the right for the last 2 months, that this was the weakest, the most full of flaws. The fact that the process alone that the judge set forward was so convoluted, we still don't know what crimes President Trump is found guilty of, and he's convicted. So the reality of the case is no, we don't, not per se. It's going to fall apart in appeals, and we all know that. But here's the reality: America today doesn't have the moral ground to talk about Venezuela, to talk about Russia and Putin, because we're doing the same thing. We're persecuting our political opponents. Next step is we're going to start killing them, because the reality is what took place.
The one thing I would say, the one guaranteed thing, and I'll bring in Vincent here. The one guaranteed thing is that now the benchmark has been set by the Democrats to politically prosecute.
Well, Joe Biden better buckle up, because it's going to be a rough ride.
I'm about to say that, is that now they've set the precedent for doing this. You don't think the Republicans are going to do exactly the same thing to the Democrats? Of course they are. And that's why I say it's not in America's national interest.
Wait a second.
Emily?
George Santos is talking about moral ground. I think I'm going insane here. The man who just got expelled from Congress for lying, repeatedly lying. You're trying to tell us what the moral high ground is here? I think, George, honestly,
here's the difference.
You may have been a creation.
Well, I don't. First of all, we'll start this way. I don't care what you think, but I'll say this: my expulsion from Congress was arbitrary in its nature. Right? Because if you look at the process, it was also skewed. But I'm not here to debate that. I'm here to debate President Trump.
I'm just
now,
saying
if you want to talk about moral ground, and if you want to give your opinion, I didn't come on the panel to hear your opinion.
No, I'm just saying this is how it starts. I think, George, you're probably like the son of the heir to Trump. Trump goes forward. He shows people
Lord,
what
is this? This is like lowest common denominator crap. My Lord. 80 IQ arguments here.
He gets away with it. Then the next thing you know, the legislators are coming in, they make up CVs, they lie to death, they just sit it out, they then turn it into a movie. You are a creation of Donald Trump. It seems to me really obvious that this is what happened.
I would argue that Joe Biden is the creation of lying in politics. Joe Biden is top of his class in law school. Joe Biden had to drop out of an entire presidential run for plagiarizing. I mean, come on. You can't make that argument and ignore Joe Biden, the sitting president of the United States, who's the lying commander-in-chief.
Okay, let me bring in...
The biggest liar to ever be president of the United States.
Thank you, George. Just bring in Vincent. You've been waiting patiently. Vincent, your view of all this.
Patiently, but I'm imploding inside because of hearing all this freaking nonsense. Like, as I was...
This guy looks like Robert Downey Jr., doesn't
he? As I'm in here in this van, Piers, I'm picturing Lady Justice, and I want to believe that she's still standing tall in the greatest country in the world.
What a freaking disaster. These people are all freaking liars and trying to slander each other. My Lord.
But yesterday, her blindfold was ripped off, her scales were tipped, and the snake at her feet won. Okay, this wasn't humiliation. As much as Chank and whoever that lady is wants to talk crap about you, he's not humiliated. He has the toughest skin out of anybody that I've ever seen as a president, because he's a New Yorker. And guess what? He doesn't give two damns. You know who was embarrassed?
What is this garbage? Guys, this is like daytime talk show level crap.
You know who was embarrassed? The country. Okay, but you know what, Piers? Nobody's asking why. Why, since the day this man announced that he was going to run, the left, everybody, the swamp, all these deep state, they all turned on him. Everybody, you know, from the DOJ, Obama with spying on his campaign, from Hillary with 2016 with her BS dossier with the Russian collusion, the two fake impeachments, the January 6th setup, Chank. You and this coup BS that you keep spewing with all the FBI agents in the crowd inside the Capitol. You're talking nonsense, Cenk, okay? And then now this lawfare, it's ridiculous, okay? It's humiliating to the world. And I want to say, Donald Trump in 2024, I can't wait, okay? I cannot wait for him to come in. And 2020, that November is going to be that's from day one, a day of reckoning. And I hope he comes after all the Democrats. Because, by the way, Hillary Clinton, and you mentioned Bill Clinton, rape, sex allegations, rape, Hillary with her emails, Benghazi, how many charges? How many trials, Piers? Zero.
Well, that is
Joe
the point
Biden,
I've been trying to... Well, okay, I was actually going to ask Emily quickly on that point, because you wrote a powerful column today about how the women have all shown themselves to be very strong with Trump and the men have been spineless all around him, which is a perfectly reasonable argument to make. But again, that point which the Republicans keep making, the double standard when it's applied to Bill Clinton in relation to Trump. You know, when you have a president, an actual sitting president, who had sex with an intern in the Oval Office and then lied to the American people and paid off a woman for sexual harassment, hundreds of thousands of dollars, but was never brought to any accountability in a criminal court for any of that, a lot of Republicans say, well, hang on, why not? Why has Trump been singled out for what, in the end, is just a similar version to what Bill Clinton did? It's a payoff to someone to get rid of a story you don't like.
Yeah, okay, so the Trump conviction was not about the payoff, and it was not about the sex, and it was not actually about the women. It was about the falsification of campaign funds. It was falsifying his business deals. You can make of that what you will, and actually, I think I would feel very similar thoughts if Bill Clinton's case were around today and we were discussing that. But I think that you're wrong to say that this is a Republican talking point, because the Republican talking points have really been set in stone for the last, 4 years. We were hearing from Donald Trump in, I remember, August, September of 2020, that the election was rigged. That was before anyone had been out to vote. He was already imagining that he would lose an election. He was preparing to tell the world that the thing that he was going to lose was rigged, so it wouldn't sound as bad for him. He's just a big fat liar and a loser. And it's really sad to hear people 4 years on still with the same narrative.
That's not even true. No, I'm sorry, Emily.
He's Mandela.
You don't get to say he did not say that in August.
Visa. He did. He went on.
Emily, where do you live? Emily, where do you live?
Before he went
Emily,
to
I'm just curious. Where do you live right now?
You're clearly not paying attention.
I'm very curious.
Beverly Hills.
Emily, I'm very curious. Where do you live right now? Where do you live?
Are you coming for me? I live in the UK.
No, I'm not. I'm asking you. No, hey, I'm asking you where you live. Because if you live in the United States of America, this past 4 years has been a complete shit show. Okay? Trump can grab him by the vagina, whatever the hell. I would much rather have the mean guy with the mean tweets and kicking ass economy, closed border, than what's happening right now. I don't care about this stupid porn star for 20 years ago. It's about America. And people like you and people like Cenk are just butthurt because you guys hate Donald Trump. You hate him because he loves America. Get over it, okay? We have 2 case studies. Donald Trump for 4 years, Joe Biden for 4 years.
All right.
You guys are delusional if you want Joe Biden.
All right.
You're delusional.
Okay, hang on. We've been joined by...
I like the color his face got.
The eminent pollster, Frank Luntz. Frank, you've been... thank you for joining me in the studio here. Things getting a little heated, as they often do. Let me just ask you, on a strict polling perspective, what has been the kind of instant fallout from all this? I mean, has there been an impact either way for Trump's chances of winning the presidency?
We did 2 focus groups last night, but I need to preface it. I don't know if this makes you proud. I'm watching them yell at each other and act like idiots, all sides. I know that the American people are more divided than they've ever been. I actually care about this. You're both British and American in what you do. God help the British if they become like the Americans.
Indeed.
You think that the average American looking at this will be proud?
I actually think the whole debate around Donald Trump has become a bit like the Brexit debate in the UK. So toxic and so tribal, and so many people just lose their minds when talking about Trump. And that's why I always try and bring it back to, if I can, a sense of perspective and fairness, which is, has he been treated how other presidents have been treated for their own situations, like Bill Clinton, with Paula Jones, the payoff, with Monica Lewinsky and so on?
So the question there is, in asking the undecided, the swing voters, people who vote Democrat and Republican, first, they do not believe these charges should have been brought. They don't think this is a big deal. The other cases are significant. This one is not. Second, they think Trump was guilty of this. The public does think that Trump was wrong. Third is that nobody wants him to go to jail over this. They don't want him. This is why the American people want to change in who the nominee is. They look at one candidate and they say, my God, he's so old. They look at the other candidate and they think, my God, he's so dishonest. And that's why over 70% of Americans...
They're both old, both of them.
...don't want this matchup. The truth is, both sides, Democrats and Republicans, are trying to defend something that the American people don't want. And as someone, you and I have had a few conversations like this. This used to break my heart. Now I'd say to them, cut. I'm not going to even say shut up, because then I'm playing their game. Cut it out. The damage that this is doing to the democracy, to the belief that democracy doesn't work, that no one's listening, that they'd rather have a food fight than actually get something done. In the end, inflation is more important than this trial. Immigration is more important. On the Democratic side, abortion is more important, and healthcare is more important. We're having this shouting match, this food fight, when in fact Americans believe that Washington doesn't get anything done.
Should he have been prosecuted for this offense?
They don't think so. I can't answer that because I'm a pollster. I can tell you what the impact is, and it is awful. And if you love your country, as these people say that they do, they'll stop behaving this way. It really is that bad.
Has it improved or diminished his chances of winning, though?
It's raised him more money in one day than any ever before.
Has to help him.
And his base is even stronger. Here's the problem. The public is
MAGA number 2.
afraid that it's now made it more likely that after the next debate or the next trial, we're going to see violence. The public now believes that it's less likely that we will come together when the election is over. Pierce, this stuff matters. We are at the precipice of blowing ourselves up. We can replay this whole thing right now, 6 months from now, and say, my God, we saw it happening and we didn't do anything to stop it. You're the only one who has an American and a British audience, an American and a British sensibility. I know this is good for ratings. I know that people get a kick out of this. It's entertaining. But I'll tell you guys something right now. You continue to behave that way, making faces, insulting each other. You're destroying the tenets of democracy, and we have to stop.
Well, let me ask the panel.
Well, he has, what's it called? I wonder if he has everyone's best interest at heart, or if he's paid to say that. That's the question. And who does it serve for him to
Let's get them back up, and let's get their reaction to that. Cenk, you guys are all part of the problem.
Yeah. So look, I actually agree and disagree. So when Frank says that, hey, 70% of Americans don't want either one of these candidates, I totally agree. I'm with the American people. So when George Santos says that Joe Biden's a liar, he's right. That's one of the rare things he's right about. Joe Biden's a huge liar. He lied about getting arrested with Nelson Mandela, fighting apartheid. That is a giant, giant lie, let alone the fact that almost all of our politicians are liars. The reality is they take campaign contributions and then they do exactly what their donors tell them, corporate Democrats and corporate Republicans. So that's why I'm a populist. I agree with the American people. But on the other hand, here's where Frank is wrong. So, brother, what do you want me to do? These guys come on and they say absurd things like, "Oh, it's okay to invade the Capitol. It's Trump has thick skin." He has the thinnest skin I've ever seen. He's a little child. Trump breaks law after law. He used to hire undocumented immigrants. He's cheated and lied throughout his entire life. So what do you want me to do? Not fight back and just go, "Oh, you're right. Everybody is bad. So Trump should be allowed to break all the laws?"
Okay, your point is a good one, because George is just going to sit and talk over you. And I know that you can't get heard, but the better approach to this, and we've tested this, is literally silence. Now, Piers will be upset because that doesn't get ratings, but everyone knows what George's background is. It's a fair comment to say that he was literally tossed out of Congress, but why do you respond in kind just because he's going to yell over you? And the gentleman with the tie, I saw you making those faces and waving your hands and all that. Would you, Exactly.
Yeah.
Would you want your
he's like a teacher in the room full of rowdy toddlers.
kids to behave that way?
Rowdy fifth
Would you
graders.
feel good
Yeah,
if
hold on a
that's
second. But first of all, I don't know who this pollster is, but I'm going to say something right now.
Well, he's one of the
you
best
don't know
pollsters
me,
in the
for
world,
you to
just
call
to
me
be
an
clear.
idiot. He loves his polls. They always work. But for somebody that doesn't know me to call me an idiot, this is coming from a guy that dyed his hair and it doesn't even match his beard. So let's not start insulting each other. I'm a United States Air Force veteran.
You literally just proved his point.
Hold on, I'm just going to make a point.
Well,
Yeah,
good.
because you
Don't all talk over each other.
You want to call me an idiot. You hold on. You don't know me. You called me an idiot. So now, just like with Trump, you guys can talk all the shit you want to Trump, but Trump can't fight back because that's what you want. You want silence. We're not going to be silenced anymore. I'm a United States Air Force veteran. My parents are legal immigrants. My brother's a veteran. My sister's a veteran. We are sick and tired of staying on the sidelines and just being nice. Enough is enough with people like you. Just sit there and let the left get away with murder. To hell with that.
Okay,
to hell with that.
Let me bring in.
Period.
Let me bring in.
I'm just going to go here and
hang
say
on,
this.
George. Hang on. I want to bring in Michael van der Veen, who's been waiting patiently, who is one of Donald Trump's former lawyers and has actually been in legal action against Donald Trump. So he's been on both sides of the fence with him. Let me ask you, Michael van der Veen. First of all, are there grounds for appeal here? People say this will definitely go to appeal, and Trump may well have all this turned over. Is that likely?
Well, it's very likely that an appeal is going to be filed. In almost every criminal prosecution in the United States, if there's a finding of guilty, an appeal is filed. The likelihood of success of the appeal is a different matter. I think there are some legitimate and righteous grounds for appeal here. He wasn't allowed to use the professional advice defense. I think there were some difficulties with the jury instruction. As far as change of venue and veneer, it's not Manhattan isn't a cross section of all of New York City. It's one of the 5 boroughs, and we did polling for the jury pool in the trial that we did, and 8.5 out of 10 had very strong negative opinions about the president, and the other 1.5 just didn't like him.
Right.
That's hilarious. Okay, let's end the video there. Hit the like, hit the sub, hit all the notifications, drop me a donation. Like Hunter, Adrian, Tom, and Bobby, Dylan, Russell, Bruce, Brian, Andrew, and Alan. Shout out to you, most recent purchaser of Strategist Guide to Seduction. Go buy my books at bit.ly/heliosbooks. If you want early access to my content, that's on my Patreon. That's patreon.com/theheliosblog. If you want me to give you better advice than these pundits and toddlers and all this, my lord, just arguing like small children. You want better advice than that? Just send me an email. I'll slot you right into my coaching services at theheliosblog@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening, guys, especially if you listen to the end. I really do appreciate it. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.